Show that as my savior. I praise the creator when you see a hater. Good words gon' shine when you feeling shaded. Gotta have patience with faith, obedient to the power who created the innocent. Decent in order, we gotta move militant. Can't be an infidel, moving in ignorance. Praise your God through your works and living it.
Shalom, shalom, peace and blessings, family. Welcome back.
This is the Born of Levi experience on GOCC Media.
Yes. Welcome back, brothers and sisters, to the Born of Levi experience. I am your host, Deacon Hazak, here on GOCC Media. The sounds you was listening to was Mataza Doc, titled "Give 'Em Praise," off his album Growth 2. Go check it out, streaming on all major platforms. All praises be to the Most High. How we all doing? I know you guys see the title of today's discussion. We're going to get right into it. Project 2025, everything that you need to know, right? We're going to go into it. That document is so vast, but I'm going to talk on 2 points. I want to talk about the education side of it and the healthcare side of it. But once again, brothers and sisters, welcome back to the Hebrew. I keep saying to the Hebrew. You know what? I got to do that announcement. I'm going to do it. But welcome back to the Born of Levi experience. I am your host, Deacon Hazak. And if you can, brothers and sisters, please hit that like button on your way in. And if I'm coming in nice and clear, please drop a quam in the chat so I can know that we're nice and clear and my audio is coming in good. And we could start with today's broadcast, brothers and sisters. All right. I just want to make sure that everything is coming in nice and good. All right. I see the qualms coming in. All praises. Right. And since I've been already mentioning it, brothers and sisters, you want to do your best to go ahead and enroll in the next Hebrew and Bible Academy. Right. Starting November 10th. So you got time to enroll. November 10th, we're starting a new enrollment of the Hebrew and Bible Academy, right? We have Elder Lawyer with the Hebrew in the morning, and then we have the news with Elder Shapat and Elder Rakar, and then we have the main lessons done by Elder Rakar and Elder Lawyer. So please, brothers and sisters, enroll. Sunday, November 10th, starting at 9 a.m. New in-depth lessons. Right, the Academy's theme is the fall of the last empire, which we're living in, and this is why, these topics that we're touching on as of late is showing the gradual downfall of this place called Babylon. Right, we have the in-depth lessons of the mark of the beast, or the path to the mark. Right, the return of the hidden gods, Daniel 7. The fall of America, the vision that Daniel was given about all of the empires, including the final one, and the fall of the last empire. So, brothers and sisters, you want to do your best and go ahead to historytimes.org, and enroll in the next Hebrew and Bible Academy. All praises be to the Most High, man. Week is almost done already. Praise the Most High for that. I gotta clap it up for the Most High for that. Let me clap it up. Yes. It's like every day, time is moving faster and faster, but all praise be to the Most High. But with that, I wanna send out my thoughts and my prayers for the family that's out there, the families, I should say plural, that's out there in Florida right now with that hurricane. What's the hurricane's name? Helena, I believe. Man, I pray that everybody's doing well, but praise the Most High. Last night I reached out to a couple of brothers who was out there, and they told me that they were all good. So praise the Most High for that as well too. Praise the Most High for all praise to the Most High that the Most High has covered the families that I've reached out to, and then and I know that they're safe. So praise the Most High for that, and I pray that everybody is safe. I pray that the whole church, whoever was living in Florida, was unscathed, right? And and the destruction went past, but you know, the Most High still got us also. Praise the Most High that the families out there are doing well. But it's weird too, because it's not normal to have hurricanes during October. Like, hurricane season is like between August and September. Like, this is kind of, you know, it's kind of out there, right? But the scriptures did tell us that the changing of the seasons and everything would be out of course towards the consummation of the time. So we understand that these are signs. So we can't, be, I'll say, beguiled or not in the loop, because the Most High did warn us, and he did tell us that towards the end, these are the things that would start happening. So we're here, brothers and sisters. We are here. All praises be to the Most High, man. So I'm trying to think anything else. All right, so let's just move forward. All right, well, so you guys see the title, right? And I wanted to talk about the reason why I want to talk about the Project 2025, right? The reason being is because there's a lot that's going on for this election, and both sides are really fighting. Like, I mean, we grew up understanding that politics, it was always, the left versus the right, or red versus blue, or Democrats versus Republicans. But the reason why I wanted to go into it, because, we've been in the truth, or for me, I've been in the truth for so long, and I haven't really paid attention to politics, because, for a long time, coming into the truth, nothing else really mattered. It's just the Bible. And we still have that stance. We still have that stance where it's the Most High in Christ. That's it. Nothing else matters. But yet we're still living in this side of the earth. We're still living through a lot of the political drama, societal issues, and a lot of these things stem directly from politics, and how, our local governments and the state government, how they're running this country. It actually does affect us. I mean, to the point, not so much as far as us being vested or invested into politics, but what they do actually trickles down all the way to us. So it's very important for us to not be absorbed into the politics, but it's good for us to know what's going on, so we could basically show through prophecy and through scriptures that these things are really affecting us, and the Most High did prophesy these things would happen. So it's good for us to keep an eye on the politics, on what's going on, so that way we could be able to look into the scriptures and really confirm the scriptures. Not that we need politics to confirm the scriptures, but for our, I would say, well-being, so that we can know where we at according to prophecy. So the reason why I want to go into this, because it's very interesting, that Project 2025, and I've always wanted to go into it, because and what, matter of fact, let me slow it down. What actually made me really go into it, and I don't know if this would be happening to you guys, but I got a text. Like, I be getting these texts about voting. I don't know how these people get my number, but I know that it's all public. It's public records, right? But they're sending me these text messages about voting because certain policies is going to take place, and you want to make sure your voice is heard. I even be getting texts about people saying stand with crypto. I don't know if y'all be getting those kind of texts, but I do. All right, somebody says, Joya Smiley says same here. All right, see, so I'm not the only one. So I got one yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, 2 days ago. I got a text 2 days ago talking about some make sure your voice is heard. Project 2025. They're trying to stop overtime for the working class. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would Project 2025 or whatever they're trying to plan, and because it's more so of people who are closely with the Democrat Party, the conservatives, they're pushing the narrative for 2025, the Project 2025. And I'm like, why would they be focusing on regular people and overtime? So I said to myself, you know what? Nah, I'm gonna really go into what is this Project 2025. I'm gonna actually read what's in it, so I could know for myself. Because people would, and what's crazy is people use hot button topics and then they'll just add their own ideas in it to scare people or to get people to, or to sway people to move a certain way. So I'm like, nah, I'm gonna actually read what's going on. And brothers and sisters, I'm gonna go through it, but like I only want to touch on 2 parts of it because it's a long document, and they have detailed plans. So basically, the Project 2025 is a detailed plan for the next administration, being for the Republicans. But whoever would win, that's what they would present to whatever party would win, whatever case. But more so for the Democrats. For the Republicans. So I went into it and I was reading it and I'm like, yo, a lot of the ideas in Project 2025 actually aligns with our view on society as far as people with morale. And I want to show that, I don't agree with everything that's in the document, but I see why there's such a pushback, right? With this upcoming election more than ever, right? So it's and like I said, it's interesting to know and to have an insight of what's going on instead of just walking around and just being upset and not knowing what's going on or who's controlling what. It's very important for us to know these things. So I went into it, right? But before I did that, let me pull this up too. Because even growing up in school, and let me put this here. I gotta show y'all this as well too. Even growing up in school, they've always taught, and now being this age, a part of me kind of wish that I did pay attention in economics or history class, whatever the case is. They did speak about the different forms of government and the different, I would say, stances, as far as, I don't even know what to call them, but I know the different forms of government or how the society is being ran or the different sides of the political parties. That's the best how I could explain it. Let me pull this up real quick. So I did this for just to give like a brief understanding. And like I said, this is more so for educational purposes only. And like I said, us being in truth, believers in Christ, it's like I said, it's easy for us to just turn a blind eye to politics. And it's easy for us to fall into that, in between, that gray area. Like, we don't really care, but yet we do care, right? But I believe that it's important for us to know what's going on around us, because we're still living here in this world. We're still living in the United States. And a lot of the things that they're doing does affect us and our children because we're not paying attention. All right. So it's time for us to be well-rounded in this truth. We understand that Christ and the Most High is the foundation. Christ and the Most High is the only way, the truth, and the life. But we still have to pay attention to what's going on in our immediate lives. What the government is doing, what your local government is doing, is very important to know what's happening around you. Don't just be like a sheep. We are a sheep, but don't be like a sheep that's just walking and saying and saying phrases like, yo, I ain't worried about nothing. Right? God got me. Yes, he does. But you still have to know what's going on around you. Don't be in a stupor. The world is in a stupor. We are outside of that stupor. So we should be able to look into this world and analyze what's going on and be like, all right, and operate accordingly. Right? So with that being said, let me share my screen. So I can get this out the way too. So I be using ChatGPT all the time, right? So in ChatGPT, I asked it a question. What is Marxism? So, and a lot of us have to understand, and y'all gonna see why I asked it this question. Let me see if I could enlarge this thing. All right, here we go. And hopefully you guys could see it on your screen as well too. Right? All right. So apparently this is how society is being controlled by these different ideologies. So we're going to talk about it. I want to briefly talk about Marxism. I want to briefly talk about what is a conservative, and I want to briefly talk about what is a liberal. So now you'll understand this society that we're living in, this country, right? So I just asked ChatGPT. I was like, "Hey, what is Marxism?" And he gave me a detailed breakdown. And ChatGPT is becoming one of my go-tos when it comes to searches. I mean, Google's still there, but ChatGPT is becoming like my number one go-to when it comes to searching for information. So Marxism, it says Marxism is a social, political, and economic theory developed by Karl Marx, right? And Friedrich Engels, or Engels. I'm going to say Engels, right? I remember hearing this name in school, Karl Marx, right? It says in the 19th century, it focused on the analysis of class struggle and its impact on society and historical development. Marxism argues that societal progresses through a dialectical process driven by the conflict between different classes. So this is what he says fuels an economy. The differences between different classes, primarily between the bourgeoisies, the capitalist class, who own the means of production, and the proletariats, the working class, who sell their labor, which we would be classified as that class. We sell our labor, right? We sell our labor for a paycheck. Let me see if I could enlarge this even more. 1 second. All right, much better. Right? So it says, here are some of the key ideas of Marxism. Class struggles. Marxism posits that history is shaped by struggles between different classes in society in a capitalistic society, which we live in. The main conflict is between the bourgeoisies, who own the means of product, right? We read that earlier. Materialism, right? Marx and Engels propose historical materialism, which suggests that the material conditions of a society, its economic system, fundamentally shapes its culture, politics, consciousness, economic conditions, according to Marxism, determined by societal structure. So I also agree with that as well too, right? Materialism, what someone possesses, how much money you make, the area where you live, what you do for a living, it actually shapes the culture. And we spoke about this on this channel, right? Alienation. Look at this. In a capitalist system, workers are alienated from their labor. And I want you guys to confirm if you guys believe this is true, right? In a capitalist system, workers are alienated from their labor, meaning they do not own what they produce, which is, I believe, is correct. This alienation leads to workers being disconnected from the product of their work, their fellow workers, and their own humanity. What do you guys think about that? Like, I could see this as a reality because a lot of us are just going to work, and we're really not in tune with the job itself. Especially if you're working in a job where demands you to have customer service. It's almost like the needs of the customer really, you don't really care about. You just want to get the job done. So, depending on how long you've been in that job. I agree with that. I don't know about y'all. But it says another one, it says surplus value exploitation, right? Marx claimed that capitalism is based on the exploitation of workers. Look at this. Capitalists pay workers less than the value of what they produce. Isn't that right? Like, y'all would be shocked to know how much they make on, like, all right, for instance, like selling a car. These dealerships, the price that they pay for the car and the price that they sell it to you for is completely night and day, right? This leads to an exploitative system, right? Listen to this. Revolution. Marx believed that the contradictions of capitalism, the increasing wealth of the bourgeoisies, right, would eventually lead to a revolutionary overthrow of the capitalist system. So by his theory, it's almost inevitable for the working class to revolt against the capitalist class because of the unbalanced scale of how things are being distributed in an economy. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm seeing that now. And I'm starting to see and understand that people are understanding that. And this is why I said we in truth, but we got to understand these systems that's in place for us to make sense of why things are being ran the way it's being ran. Right? It says this revolution would result in a classless society where the means of production are owned collectively. To me, I kind of like that idea because there's no pecking order. Everybody's on the same playing field, and it's about bartering now. And I believe eventually we're going to get to this kind of system. Then the final stage of Marxism is communism. In the final stage of societal development, according to Marxist theory, capitalism would be replaced by communism, a classless, stateless society where the means of productions are commonly owned and goods are distributed based on the need rather than profit. So that's Marxism. So when you look at, all right, matter of fact, before I do that, right? Before I do that, let me go back here. So I also asked, what is a conservative, right? For those who don't know what a conservative is. The conservatives are more so Republicans. That's the side that they actually they align with. So in a Marxist society, it's only a matter of time before there's a shift in how things are being ran. And like I said, the people are starting to understand the unfairness. Now, can you guys now understand why the migrants are here now? Just by understanding this theory. Now now we can make sense of the things that we're seeing on the news. Because there is a shift now, there's a power shift between the bourgeoisies and the working class, where the working class is now no longer taking pennies of a dollar. So the capitalists are like, all right, y'all trying to change our Marxist, our Marxism, our Marxist society. All right, so let's cool off some steam, and we'll bring in the migrants, cheap labor, to keep the capitalists up here and keep the working class down here. That's how it's worked. That's how it works. So we live in a Marxist society. We live in a society that's built off of Marxism by that theory. And it's evident. We can see it. So now what is a conservative? I'm not going to go through too much of it because I want to talk about the conservatives and I also want to talk about the liberals. Right? So this is just more so of a history or educational class for you guys to know what's going on and what's the fighting about, right? So a conservative is someone who generally advocates for preserving traditional values. Y'all see that? Let me get this here. For preserving traditional values, social structures, and institutions. So a conservative more so want to keep things traditional. We want to do things how we've been doing it. We want to do things according to morale. So it says conservationism is a political and a social philosophy that emphasizes the importance of maintaining established customs and practices while being skeptical of radical changes. Radical changes. And if you were paying attention, this last administration has been about radical change. Starting from Obama. The radical changes that the conservatives have seen. The rise of LGBTQ, Black Lives Matter. These are radical changes and they're not traditional to this so-called structure, to this so-called economy or this American system. Right? Now it's starting to make sense. Now we're seeing what's happening. So it really is a struggle. So we like to say that everything is all evil. Yes, we understand that, without the Most High, you ain't really telling me nothing. But there's still some people who are trying to hold on to some type of morale. Right? Is a fight between good and evil. It's always going to be a fight between good and evil, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. Right? It says the specific beliefs and values of conservatives can vary depending on the culture and political context, but some common practices include traditional, limited government, free market, personal responsibility, law and order, right? So it goes on and on and on and on, right? And traditional values is the mainstay, right? So now what is a liberal? So now a liberal is someone who generally advocates for individual rights. Her body, her choice. Right? Equality. What type of equality? Because we used to think that this used to be aligned. This used to align with us. We wanted to be equal. But it's like now they've taken this equality and mated it with civil rights that we didn't fight for. We didn't fight for a lot of these views. And I'm going to show you through this Project 2025 what they're actually looking for, what they're fighting for. Right? Individual rights, equality, social progress. I mean, all of those things sound good, but when you actually look at to where they're tailoring these rights to, or what's groups, it don't align with what we believe. It says liberalism is a political and social philosophy that emphasizes personal freedoms. Do as thou wilt, right? Personal freedoms, democracy, and the protection of civil liberties. But when you look at who are getting the most backing, it's not people that look like us. And if they do look like us, it's not people with the same religious persuasion as us, right? Sexual orientation as us. So these are radical changes. So it says, while supporting a more active role for government in promoting social justice. Social justice for who? And economic fairness. Economic fairness for who? Because now, because of these liberals, people who had nothing to do with the civil rights movements with black and for the blacks, for the so-called African Americans, they're receiving the funding for what our forefathers died for. All under the liberal agenda. It says the exact beliefs of liberals can vary depending on cultural and political context, but some of the core principles of liberalism include individual freedoms, equality, democracy, and rule of law, social justice, yada, 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 yada. Right? So I went into that to show. So we all understand now we live in a Marxist society. If you didn't understand that, now is your time to understand that. Now the society is broken up into two parties. We have the conservatives, which closely aligns with the Republican Party, and we have the liberals, which closely aligns with the Democrats. So now we're going to see, according to this Project 2025, what the because the Project 2025 has been drawn up by the Conservative Party. Because, like we just read in ChatGPT, that the conservatives do not like radical change. And I don't know about you guys, I don't like radical change either. Because radical change bring forth legislation and rules that affects me and my children and the people that I love. Right? So let me show. I also want to show this before I move forward. Because just to make things clear, even though the conservatives more so align with what we believe as far as morality and some of the social constructs that they're trying to put in place as far as education and health, those things align with us. But both sides are not for our people. They don't really have our people really in their hearts or in their minds. Yeah, there's some benefits that comes with either side, but there's also downfalls that come with either side as well too. So let's just make this clear. It's, like I said, it's good for us to understand and know what's going on, so that way we could avoid pitfalls or benefit from some things that's happening. But all in all, none of this stuff is to progress our people. Why am I saying that? Let me go here. Let me show y'all this. So I'm in Instagram, right? And I seen this post, and this is the reason why my stance is the way it is. Because even though conservatives have some good plans or whatever the case is, or they closely align with us, look at this. And I want you guys to hear this man speak, man, and truly understand. None of them was on our side at the end of the day. So, fair use, right? Why is it so big? Hold on. Oh, yeah, because I enlarged the screen. So it says, Tampa residents calls out government amid looming disaster from Hurricane Milton. So let's take a look at this together and let's listen to it.
Tone from Tampa, man.
Tone from Tampa. What's up, brother? How was everything out there?
It's a little light rain right now, heavy wind, but I'm going to just keep it a buck, man. This ain't where it's at, man.
Yeah, I'm going to say, y'all right in the middle of it. The eyes hitting Tampa from what the map shows right now.
Man, bro, my heart, bro. I'm scared, man. And then we still recovering from Helene, and it's like, bro, I want to get this off my chest, bro. This government is playing in our faces, man. It don't matter if it's Republican or Democrat. They playing in our faces, bro. You get Ukrainians come over here, they get what they want. You get immigrants come over here, they get what they want. And you got people being denied these FEMA applications that you talking about the other day, Charlamagne. Mm-hmm. People being denied, bro. Mm-hmm. But you getting these migrants coming over here, $10,000 food stamps, bro. Fuck your goddamn $5,000 cash stipends, man. Mm. This shit hurting, bro.
So, y'all heard what he's saying. So it's like our people now is starting to wake up. People who was not paying attention to politics and was just saying, man, I'm just voting Democrat. Man, I'm just voting. Well, a lot of our people just align with Democrats, but I'm just voting this. I'm voting that. Not really expecting nothing in return. So now when our people really need help, the government's not doing anything to help them. And we hear a brother calling that lives in Tampa, and you could hear in his voice how frustrated he is. Now it's making sense to why they're doing what they're doing, and they got to get us out the way because we're starting to realize, like, nah, y'all really not for our people. None of y'all.
We finna get ready to damn near die, bro. A lot of people couldn't afford to evacuate. And this government playing in our fucking face, man.
Excuse the language. Said the government is playing in our face. So that theory of Marxism, Karl Marx theory, I could see that being a reality. Because he's just one of many who feel this way about this government this government that's supposed to be helping us. He's just one of many.
Damn. I feel for you, bro.
I totally understand, my brother.
Absolutely. Dang. I totally feel for you. You can't do nothing to help this brother. All you could say is, yeah, sorry, man.
It don't matter what they is, Democrat, Republican, they all treason, man.
See, say it don't matter what they is. Democrat or Republican, they all treason.
They all about money, bro.
They all about money.
People care about American people, bro.
They don't care about the American people.
This shit hurt, bro. This shit hurt, bro. People wake up every day just want to live their life, bro. And you got these fucking greedy snakes, man. You got these fucking greedy snakes. Call themselves government service people, bro. And they don't give a damn, bro. They don't give a damn about the migrants coming over here. They using them too, man.
And this brother it's like it's like the Most High put the spirit on him just to say this because he fully understands. Like it don't take a rocket scientist to sit back and look at this economy and see what's actually happening to our people. It don't take high level of data and analytics to see that these people are not really for us. He could see what's happening. And this is exactly the theory from Karl Marx. Look at one of these comments. Look at this comment. This brother says, should listen in civics class. We all should have to understand these politics.
This shit ain't right, man.
It's not right.
You're absolutely right, my
Now I
brother.
can't wait to God to come back, man.
No, you're right, brother.
To hear what he said he can't wait till God come back. He's absolutely 100% right. Because at some point, I don't know who else can help a lot of people other than the Most High.
Well, we're praying
Other
for
than
you,
the
brother.
Most High.
Thank y'all, man.
Try to stay as safe as possible,
Yeah,
brother.
man.
Right? And I wanted to play that to show the frustration in that brother's voice. And to let you guys know that neither side is going to really stick their neck out and help our people. Because it's about money. It's about capitalism. Yeah, there may be some perks, certain things that we will be able to get from whatever they pass, but we're not looking for any handouts. That's why I want to make that clear as well. We're not looking for a handout. Because if they was gonna help, they would have helped us a long time ago. And how crazy is this, brothers and sisters? We have people who get up and go to work every day. I'm one of them. I pay my taxes. But now I'm paying my taxes to a government that's supposed to help me. Well, my tax is supposed to help the country run. But now when I'm looking for help from the same country that's benefiting off of my labor, I get nothing? And this is what our people have to wake up and see. I don't care what political party you align with. What are they doing for you? So, Karl Marx, to me, his theory is spot on. And it's coming to, and we're seeing it. And we're seeing that the capitalists or the bourgeoisies, they're realizing that the working class is fed up. So what they got to do? They bringing in the migrants. Right? And both sides right now is jockeying for position for the next 4 years. Right? But is it really going to help our people? Might be some benefits on either side. But at the end of the day, we have to understand what's going on. Right? So I wanted to play that video just to show that no side actually aligns or is really benefiting us. And you could just hear it in that brother's voice. How it's like our people are starting to realize and are starting to grow weary of waiting for a handout. And it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time before people start snapping and start taking matters into their own hands. I could see that happening. But to go on with the topic, so now this Project 2025, and it's actually a book. I didn't even know. It was just me listening to people's rhetoric online. I didn't even get to go into it. But it's a book. It's a 900-page book. And it's the Project 2025, Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise. So what the conservatives did, so basically it was a whole bunch of companies, about 400 people involved in this project right here. It's not just one person writing this. It's different conservative parties or different people from the Conservative Party in different industries in this country came together and wrote this book on what they want to see from the next administration. That's what Project 2025 is about. And we're going to read some of it. But before I do that, I got to also show you guys something else as well. Because a lot of people, they're painting it as if this is a President Trump's campaign. But it's not a President Trump campaign. Which when I found that out, I was like, oh, so what is this thing really about then? Because it's basically not Trump's campaign. And that's what they're doing. They're painting it as if this is Trump's campaign. But let me show y'all this. Why does this keep on coming up? Give me 1 second. Let me show y'all this. What was this guy's name? Give me 1 second. All right. Let me get this guy's name real quick. Give me 1 second, because I had it saved here, and it totally went away. 1 second. I really have to show y'all this to prove this point, and to let y'all know that this Project 2025 is from one side and one side only, right? Give me 1 second. Okay, here's his name. I want to show you this guy right here. Let me show you this guy right here. So, on your screen, you're going to see this man right here. Paul Dans, right? So right here, I want to show you this video. So apparently, Project 2025 Architects reacts to Trump's campaign distancing itself from the plan. Right? So this whole time we thought that Trump was endorsing, or this was part of Trump's plan, but it's really not. Trump's campaign also doesn't want anything to do with Project 2025. But they're so-called Republicans. The Republican Party should be what? Conservatives, right? But let me play this real quick. Fair use. This is from CNN.
Thursday Night Football on Prime. It's on.
They got to add. When it comes back, I'll show you. I want you guys to understand something here and see what's going on when it comes to this Project 2025. Once this ad gets out of the way, I'll be able to play the video. All right, here it goes.
Well, he personally didn't have anything to do with it. Certainly a lot.
How can you say that he has nothing to do with it?
Well, he personally didn't have anything to do with it. Certainly a lot of folks, worked on it, came out of the Trump administration, but that's natural for any Republican administration. You're going to have the carryover for the next one. And in this case, it's conservative, but look, those ideas were open to Joe Biden and to implement if he wants to. And they.
So this was not solely just for President Trump. This is even on the table for the Democratic Party too, under Joe Biden. So this Project 2025 is to be sent to whatever administration, right, on things that they want to implement, and which makes sense, because if I'm voting you in office, I gotta make sure that my views are met, or what I want to see take place for my city or my country is met as well too. You're not just gonna be sitting in the office and you making all of this money and nothing is getting done. So these, conservatives, they all came together and wrote a book to present to the next administration. This is what he was saying.
They actually are. It's a funny thing.
It is very conservative. Does it bother you when Trump calls it abysmal and ridiculous? I mean, something that you worked on for 2 years?
Well, I mean, I don't know what he's referring to in particular with that. Certainly there were some remarks by people at Heritage that I'd fully renounce. Any kind of, talking about the second American Revolution or bloodlessness. We have to lower the temperature in this country. But as far as the ideas within Project 20,
you see, we have to lower the temperature in this country because why? Under the Democrats, there have been a lot of radical change. So there's still some Americans who's like, nah, we're not losing this country to this radical vision here. We don't want nothing to do with it. But
2025, I think they're pretty solid. The reality is that most of what people think is in Project 2025 is in fact not in it. Mm-hmm. It's mainly misinformation.
Exactly. And that's why I actually had to go into it myself, because a lot of the things that people are saying concerning Project 2025 is misinformation. because we already know we live in a time where people is not going to actually take the time out and actually read a document. It's like anything with Trump's name on it is like, oh no, it's across the vampires. But actually read the document. But as he's saying, Trump's camp, they want nothing to do with this Project 2025. And just the same thing as the Biden administration. So what is it? There's
a few things that Democrats have said that's not true, like on Social Security, but a lot of it, revoking access to mifepristone, which is the abortion medication that the FDA approved 24 years ago. I mean, that is part of it. When it comes to that, you want to get rid of the Inflation Reduction Act, which helped, lower the cost of prescription drugs. Those are all part of it. And when you say Trump has nothing to do with it, if he's reelected, do you think that parts of Project 2025 would ultimately come to fruition in a Trump second term?
Well, I hope so. To be fair, 400 people worked on that book, and not everyone who wrote for the book agrees with everything in the book. It's a coming together of our movement, but only a plotting of points to basically direct the next conservative president. This is a way what the conservatives would like to see.
You step down.
So he said about 400 people came together to write this Project 2025. And they did it with the hopes that hopefully maybe whatever political party, is in office, take a look at the book and like, you know what, especially if it's a Republican, like, look out for us. And that's the power in the people who are voting. Right? So now let's actually go into it. And then I only want to focus with this. I only want to focus on because there's different sections. I'm going to show y'all too. There's different sections of this book. But I went to the sections that that I really cared about, and I was reading on those. And to me, nothing in that plan was alarming to me. As a Bible believer, as a Christian, as a follower of Christ, understanding who I am, I didn't see anything alarming, right? But we're going to go through it just a little bit because, I just want you guys to understand what's going on instead of just listening to what people are saying out there. So let me enlarge this. And brothers and sisters, this is a PDF, right? You could download the PDF. That's what I did. I downloaded the PDF, right? Somebody asks, am I live? Yes, I am live right now. We are live. Right? So you could go ahead and download the PDF and you cycle through it and you look at it. Right? So this is the Project 2025 Mandates for the Leadership, the Conservative Promise. Right? So let me come out a little bit. I'm too zoomed in. All right. Right? So as you can see the table of contents, right? Taking the reins of government. So this is what they want to see, right? It says like I said, we're going to be focusing on just to show you what I feel like. Listen, if they pass this is a good, I wouldn't be upset with this. We're going to look at the Department of Education. This one was written by Lindsay M. Burke. And we're also going to look at the Department of Health and Human Services by Roger Cerveno. So these are the people who came together and wrote this book and what they want the next administration to see. Or what they want to see, from the next administration. Right? So let's go to, I want to read this. Was this what I wanted to read? Let me see. There was a section that I wanted to read before I go into the areas. All right. Let's see. Give me 1 second. All right, right here. Let me start here. The Project 2025. Let me make it bigger so you guys could see it. So it says, we want you, the 2025 presidential transition project is the conservative movement unified effort to be ready for the next conservative administration to govern at 12 noon, January 20th, 2024. So they were trying to get ahead. They're trying to get ahead of it. And that's the thing. When these people stick together, they get things done. And a lot of people may see this as radical, right? And this is why I'm seeing that, or I'm understanding that no matter whatever side wins this thing, there's gonna be turmoil, because the opposing views from each other is actually night and day. It's crazy. And the conservatives, they mean business, right? It says, by opening this book, you are now a part of it. Indeed, one set of eyes reading these passages will be those of the 47th president of the United States. And we hope, so it's a hope, everyone reading will join in making the incoming administration a success, right? There was something I wanted to read from this. Give me 1 second. Let me scroll down. Let's see. There was a part I forgot to highlight, but it says, all right, let me read this. It says, it's not 1980, but in 2023, the game has changed. The long march of cultural Marxism through our institutions has come to pass. The federal government is a behemoth weaponized against American citizens and conservative values, because who's in place right now? The Democrats. And mind you, the liberals, Democrats, they're into the radical change. They want to undo the norms. They want to turn things upside down. So they understand that the federal government has been weaponized against the American citizens. This is what the Republicans feel. With freedom and liberty under siege as never before. And we all could attest, because like, yo, there's things that's happening and they're putting in place that we've never seen in the early 80s, 90s, whatever the case is, or even before then. It says the task at hand to reverse this tide and restore our republic to its original moorings is too great for any one conservative policy shop to spearhead. It requires the collective action of our movement. With the quickening approach of January 2025, we have 2 years and one chance to get it right. Right? To me, this sounds like all or nothing. It sounds like a desperation move to me. I don't know about y'all. It says Project 2025 is more than 50 of the nation's leading conservative organizations. So these are people with money. These are people with funding. Like 50 of the leading conservative organizations came together to write this. It says the axiom goes, personal is policy. Personnel is policy, And we need a new generation of Americans to answer the call and come to serve. This book is functionally an invitation for the reader, Mr. Smith or Mrs. Smith or whatever the case is, to come to Washington, support those who can. Right? So there's a call to action, basically, right? So these are the pillars. So there's 4 pillars that this book stems from. I need you guys to pay attention to the 4 pillars. It says pillar 1. This volume puts in one place a consensus view of how major federal agencies must be governed, and where disagreements exist, brackets out those differences for the next president to choose a path, right? Pillar 2 is a personnel database that allows candidates to build their own professional profiles and our coalition members to review to voice their recommendations. These recommendations will then be collated and shared with the president, right? Greatly streamlining the appointment process. Pillar 3 is the Presidential Administration Academy, an online education system. This is what they want to see. They want an online educational system taught by experts from our coalition. For the newcomer, this will explain how the government functions and how to function in government. For the experienced, we will host in-person seminars with advanced training and set the bar for what is expected of senior leadership. So they want a system to teach people about the structure of this government and what's going on, because a lot of people don't know how the government is ran. That's why a lot of people don't get into politics. So they want to be able to shape the minds of the people that's coming in so they could make an informed decision on when they're voting, or, you know, where they send their funding to, which I agree. You know what I'm saying? Like, people should know what's going on. And look at this. Pillar 4, the playbook. We are forming agency teams and drafting transition plans to move out of the president's utterance of "so help me God," right? As Americans living at the approach of our nation's 250th birthday, we have been given much. As conservatives, we are as much required to steward this precious heritage for the next generation. On behalf of the coalition partners, we thank you and invite you. So they really want to see the change in this country, right? But let me get this here. Let's go to the meat and potatoes, right? Let's look at the first change that they want for education. And honestly, like I said, I don't know what administration would not back this, but, you know, let's go here. Page 319 in this document. So, Department of Education. So I want you guys to listen clearly to this, right? It says, let me make it bigger a little bit. All right. The mission. It says, federal education policy should be limited, and ultimately, the Federal Department of Education should be eliminated. So this is what they want to see. They want the federal government to have nothing to do with education. It says when power is exercised, it should empower students and families, not government. So the education system should empower the student, and it should empower families, meaning bringing family values to what the person is learning. But it empowers the government. In our pluralistic society, families and students should be free to choose from a diverse set of school options and learning environments that best fit their needs. Now we have a system where whatever the government feels or whatever that school wants to teach, that's what your child is learning. You don't have no say on what your child should learn or can learn. It says our post-secondary institutions should also reflect such diversity, with room for not only traditional liberal arts colleges and research universities, but also faith-based institutions. So they want to bring back faith-based institutions where people are learning about faith. People are learning about a God. It's not just science, right? Faith-based institution, career schools. Actually, post-secondary schools should be you learning a skilled trade. Forget about all of this. You going to school and You got to take all of these classes that have nothing to do with what you want to major with. This should be an option. It says also military academies, bringing that back, and long life learning programs. Now, what is long life learning programs? These are programs that would help you with your life. Basically, how to survival things, right? Skills that you would need outside of the workforce. Because if you look at education today is not really, or from my point of view, the education that I receive in elementary school, junior high school, even some college, did not prepare me for what I'm dealing with right now in 2024. I wasn't prepared for any of this stuff. So they're fighting for this change within the education system. It says elementary school and secondary education policies should follow the path outlined by Milton Friedman in 1955, wherein education is publicly funded by education. Decisions are made by families. This is how it should be ran. It says ultimately, every parent should have the option to direct his or her child's share of education funding through an education savings account, ESA, funded overwhelmingly by state and local taxpayers. So this is how the taxpayers' money should go when it comes to funding in schools. We should, as families or the parents, we should have more of the say of where the money gets allocated to funding. But now our state governments are deciding what to do with the taxpayers' money when it comes to education. And this is why we have the curriculums not in line with what we believe in. It says, which would empower parents to choose a set of education options that meet their children's or their child's unique needs. States are eager to lead in K-12 education. For decades, they have acted independently of the federal government to pioneer a variety of constructive reforms and school choice programs. For example, listen to this. For example, in 2011, Arizona first piloted ESAs, which provided families roughly 90% of what the state would have spent on the child in public school to be used instead on education options such as private school tuition, online courses, and tutoring. So from 2011 and now to 2022, in 2022, Arizona expanded the program to be available to all families because it shows that it worked. It worked where instead of having the state government decide what to do with that money for your children in school, the families decided where that money went. And it worked so well, they opened it and made it available to every resident in Arizona. So there's statistics here, there's numbers that it actually does work. It says the future of education freedom and reform in the states is bright and will shine brighter when regulations and red tape from Washington are eliminated. Federal money is inevitably accompanied by rules and regulations that keep influx of funds from having much, if any, impact on students' outcomes. It rises the cost of education without raising student achievement. So the cost of education is going up, but the children aren't doing better. They're doing worse. That's crazy. It says to extend that federal taxpayer dollars are used to fund education programs, those funds should be block granted to state without strings, eliminating the need for many federal and state bureaucrats. So as you can see, the federal government have their hand too much into education because they're making money off of it. It's not about the well-being of the being. It's about how much money can we make off of this particular individual, right? Let's see what else they got here. There was something else I wanted to read on this. So the overview. For most of our history, the federal government played a minor role in education. So that was the norm. Right? The federal government didn't really care about each and every school, how it was being ran by that state. So it says, then over a 14-month period beginning in 1964, Congress planted the seed for what became the U.S. Department of Education. In July of that year, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed into law the Civil Rights Act of 1964. After Congress reached a consensus that the mistreatment of Black Americans was no longer tolerable and merited a federal response. In the case of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965 and the Higher Education Act of 1965, Congress sought to improve educational outcomes for disadvantaged students by providing additional compensation funding for low-income children and lower-income college students, right? It says here, sorry. So basically, in 1964, there was a disparity between how Black students were treated. Now, from 1964 and 1965 till now, do we see a difference in the educational system for the Blacks and brown and Hispanics? I'll let y'all answer that question. Basically showing how much of the government really have their hand in our children's education. So now, this is the part that I really wanted to get, right? As the next administration, I'm reading here, as the next administration executes its work, it should be guided by a few core principles. This is what they want to see. Advancing education freedom. And like I said, I agree with this. Empowering families to choose among a diverse set of education options is key to reform and improve outcomes, right? And it can be achieved without establishing a new federal program. For example, portability of existing federal education spending to fund families directly, or allowing federal tax credits to encourage voluntarily contributing to K-12 education savings accounts managed by charitable nonprofits by significantly advanced education choices, right? So basically allowing families decide where their taxpayer dollars, when it comes to federal funding, where does it actually goes, instead of the federal government taxing that pre-tax money. Providing education choices for federal children, right? This is for more so for children in military families, right? There was something else I wanted to get. Treating taxpayers like investors in federal student aid. Listen to this. Taxpayers should expect their investment in higher education to generate economic productivity. When the federal government lends money to individuals for post-secondary education, taxpayers should expect the borrowers to repay. Basically, the borrowers would pay, and the people who are paying into the tax would get some type of increase. I don't see anything wrong with that, instead of just paying your taxes and you get nothing in return. What else we got? right here. Safeguarding civil rights. Enforcement of civil rights should be based on a proper understanding of those laws, rejecting gender ideology and critical race theory. So they should eliminate these things in the school. Like now, all of a sudden, because the government is running things, gender ideology is being taught in these schools. That should be removed. Critical race theory should also be removed. So this is what they're looking for in the reform, right? That's it on that. So I don't know about y'all, but I agree with what they want to see as far as education. I feel like we do, and we align with that. I believe that the families and the parents should have a say when it comes to their children's education. Now we live in an era where you send your children off to school and you send them one way and they come back a different way because they're being institutionalized. They're being taught. They're being corrupted, so to speak, somewhat, right? So we should have the freedom to teach or to advocate for what our children are learning in these schools. I think that's a good plan for either party to take on, not just the Democrats. I mean, not just the Republicans, but for the Democrats. Will we see that happen? And that's the reason why I played that video in the beginning on the Breakfast Club. They don't really care. It's about the money at the end of the day, right? So now, let me see something here. Was there more on this that I wanted to get? There was one more thing that I wanted to get, and like I said, I took the time and I read this whole thing, but it's a lot to read. But I just wanted to bring out the key points that I seen. Okay, I think this is it right here. Let me show you this. This was key too. I have to show y'all this. And this made sense. Program and office prioritization within the department. That's a tongue twister. Right? To prioritize. What is what they want to prioritize through the education system. Office of Elementary and Secondary Education, right? It says the OESE is comprised of 36 programs ranging from the Title I, yada, 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 right? Let me get this. There was something I wanted to get right here. All right. No, not this. I think I skipped past it. And I didn't write it down in my notes. But there was a section where it read in this document that they wanted to have post-secondary schools, like learning a trade, be on the same pecking order as those who had a degree. I'm trying to find that section. I forgot to write it down. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Because when I read that, I'm like, yo, that should have been done years ago. Because someone who has a degree is viewed higher, which, okay, I understand it's a degree, is viewed higher than somebody who goes to a trade school and receive a certificate to create certain tasks. It's not viewed on the same level. I'm trying to see if I can find that real quick. Let me see if I can find it real quick, and then we'll get back to this. If not, then I'm going to just skip it because I didn't write it down. But I'll probably look for it in another time. But that was something else that was on the table as well, too, where they wanted people who had trade, like who went to a trade school and they went straight into a trade. When they come out with that degree or they come out with that certificate, it should be on the same level as somebody who graduated with a degree. And they wanted to see that change. But I can't find it here. It's in the document. Like I said, you guys should go download this and read it yourself. But now I want to transition now to the health side of this, right? Let's go here. And there's a lot to read, but I can't read too much of it. I'm pressed for time. So now, we're reading this section for the Department of Health and Human Services, right? And I really want you guys to see what they want done. It says, let me brighten up the screen. And like I said, I align with what they're saying. But will we see any administration get this done? Because we just seen earlier, Trump's administration, they were like, yo, we don't want nothing to do with it. And we already know Biden administration, they're not even looking at this, right? The liberals, they're trying to make it seem like this is a bad deal. But let's look at this. It says if the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services were a separate country, its approximately $1.6 trillion budget would rank as the world's 5th largest national budget. So this is the budget that this department actually gets. 1.6 trillion. This is crazy. It says, for good or ill, HHS activities personally impacts the lives of more Americans than do of any other federal agency. Under President Trump, HHS was dedicated to serving all Americans from conception to natural death, including those individuals and families who face economic and social well-being challenges. Under President Biden, the mission has shifted to promoting equity in everything we do. Remember, that's what the liberals, they want to push these progressive changes. It says, for the sake of populations sharing and political characteristics, including race, sexuality, gender identification, ethnicity, and a host of other categories, right? So they even talk about what happened during the COVID-19 pandemic, right? So now let me get to it. Let's look at one of the areas they want to see some changes. I'm going to page 475. I want you guys to see this. The laboratory development test category currently encompass a range of possible tests, many of which would be characterized more appropriately as laboratory modified tests, right? So now let me scroll down, and I wanted to read this. Abortion pills. This was a talking point that is in this document. Abortion pills. Abortion pills pose the single greatest threat to unborn children in a post-Roe world. What is Roe? That was the Congress decision between Roe versus Wade, where they were fighting for her body, her choice, and a woman should have the right to have an abortion, right? It says the rate of chemical abortions in the United States has increased by more than 150%. In the past decade, more than half of annual abortions in the U.S. are chemical rather than surgical. So a lot of people are opting out for chemical abortions rather than going to a doctor visit because it's easy. You could do it in your own home. And this is what the liberals, they're pushing for this. It's her body, her choice. I should have the right to do what I want to do. But the conservatives is like, yo, come on, you're taking a life by doing that, right? It says the abortion pill regimen is typically a two-part process. The first pill, I'm going to try to pronounce this word, mifepristone. I'm going to try it again. Mifepristone caused the death of unborn children by cutting off the hormone progesterone, which is required to sustain a pregnancy. This is high-level science on another level. This is diabolical. The second pill, misoprostol, cause contractions to induce a delivery of the dead child, and oh my gosh, and the uterine contents, usually into a toilet at home. The abortion pill regimen is currently approved for up to 70 days, which is actually 10 weeks into pregnancy. And before, Biden was subject to a heightened safety restriction called a risk evaluation and mitigation strategy that requires an in-person visit with a physician who can check for dangerous conditions such as ectopic pregnancies and can advise the mother seeking an abortion of the risk of chemical abortion, including hemorrhaging and what to do in such circumstances. So this is what is approved under the Biden administration. It says since its approval more than 20 years ago, mifepristone has been associated with 26 deaths of pregnant mothers and over 1,000 hospitalizations and thousands more adverse events. But that number does not account for all complications. So this is what they want to see taken off of the table, the conservatives. It says reverse its approval of chemical abortion drugs because the politicized approval process was illegal from the start. You see that? Oh my goodness. This is crazy. Let me scroll down. There was something else that I wanted to get. Look at this. Y'all seen this? Mail order. Now I see. Now I understand why there was so much pushback with this document. It was exposing a lot of what it exposes the ill-natured, or it showed the liberals as evil, like wicked. Mail order abortions. Allowing mail order abortions is a gift to the abortion industry that allows it to expand far beyond brick and mortar clinics and into pro-life states that are trying to protect women, girls, and unborn children from abortion. This is ridiculous, man. Oh, there's something else I wanted to get here. They even spoke about vaccinations. And this is what I want to get right here too. I got it written down right here, 459. So let's pay attention to this too. Vaccination importation. It says thousands of Americans of faith and conscience wish to receive various childhood vaccinations for themselves and their families, but are not allowed to receive vaccines that are derived through or tested on aborted fetal cells. So, brothers and sisters, let me just put this out there. There are vaccines that are out there. Well, just to put this out there as well, too, my stance on vaccines is that I'm not giving my children none of them. I'm not taking any of them. But for those who are more health conscious and more religiously or their religious conflict with the vaccines, there are alternatives to vaccines that does not include the use of aborted fetal tissue cells in the vaccines, and you putting another person's cells in your body. almost all of the vaccines that are here in the United States, I should say, include what we see here, right? But there's an alternative to the same vaccine that does not have the aborted fetal cells in them. And this is not medical advice, but this is what they're saying, that it should be available to those who want to opt out of what they're showing. You guys get that? I hope you guys understood that. Right? It says here, thousands of Americans of faith and conscience wish to receive various childhood vaccinations for themselves and their families, but are not allowed to receive vaccines that are derived through or tested on aborted fetal cells. For example, the chickenpox, hepatitis, and the MMR vaccines in the United States are all linked to abortions in this way. So these in particular are linked, and it's been a study. It's proven. It's common knowledge. It's linked to having aborted fetal cells in them, right? It says they are ethically derived alternatives. See that? So there are alternatives abroad that have been used safely there for decades, but the FDA makes it exceedingly difficult for Americans to import them. So on the other side of the world, I'll probably say Europe, probably Israel, they have the same vaccinations, but without the harmful or the aborted fetal cells in them. And it says that the FDA is making it very difficult for Americans to receive those same vaccines if they wanted to opt out for those. So why is there a push to give Americans the ones with the aborted fetal cells and not the ones that's ethically derived without that stuff in it? And like I said, my stance, I'm not for any of them. But let's say if I was in the world, or if I didn't have no understanding, I would want to opt out for that. And they've been used safely for decades on the other side of the world. You see that? It says here, let me go back. It says here, in January 2021, the HHS Office for Civil Rights and the FDA jointly announced that the HHS was required by the Religious Freedom Restoration Act to allow bulk importation by doctors of certain Japanese-made vaccines to accommodate religious needs of patients. But, that's right, this but right here, but the Biden FDA unlawfully revoked this waiver. Because why revoke something that is clinically proven and has a decade worth of research and information that's proven to be safer and ethically more, for the conscience sake, readily available for other people on the other side of the earth, but here for Americans, the Biden administration unlawfully took that right away. How many of you guys knew that? See, I didn't know that until reading this document. It says the FDA should restore the waiver to comply with the RFRA and for the obvious public health benefits of increased childhood vaccinations by families seeking ethically derived alternatives. So even if you wanted to do it ethically, it's not even available for you and your family. This is crazy. To avoid future morale corrosion of the sort experienced with the COVID-19 vaccines, the FDA and the NIH should require the development of drugs and biologics that are free from moral taint and switch to cell lines that are not derived from abortive fetal cell lines or aborted baby parts, body parts. See that? What else I got here? Page 460. Oh, yeah, I'm here. Right here. The biometrics reform. Listen to this, y'all. I'm gonna start from here. It says I'm almost done too. I just wanted to read this and get it out the way just so you guys could see. Maybe I'll do a part 2 on this, but this broadcast was more so for educational purposes, like really going through it and really understanding the nuances, the fine details of what's happening within the government. It says National Institute of Health. It says the National Institute of Health is the world's largest biomedical research agency and is made up of 27 different components called institutes and centers. Despite its popular image as a binge science agency, NIH was responsible for paying for research in aborted baby body parts, human animal chimeras experiment, human animal chimera experiments, and gain of function viral research that may have been responsible for the COVID-19. Listen to this. Bioethics reform. Research using fetal tissues obtained from elective abortions is immoral and obsolete. How many of us agree with that? I agree with that 100%. Research using human embryonic stem cells also involves the destruction of human life. This is what the conservatives are pushing for. The conservatives understand the morale behind it, while the Democrats are just saying her body, her choice. Right? Research using human embryonic stem cells also involve the destruction of human life, should not be subsidized with taxpayer dollars. How many of y'all knew that? That your taxpaying dollars are going towards funding the research using aborted fetal cells. That's why you could have Planned Parenthoods in your neighborhoods, because your taxpayer dollars actually funded that building being in your neighborhood. And the conservatives are calling it out and showing what they're doing with our taxpaying dollars. And this is why it's important for us to know what's happening in government. It says good science and life-affirming ethical research are not mutually exclusive. It says, in fact, ethically derived sources such as discarded surgical tissue and adult stem cells, not tissue obtained from elective abortions, have contributed the most successful treatments for a variety of ailments. It says Congress authorized HHS to choose not to fund extramural abortion derived fetal. Oh my goodness. Derived fetal. I lost my place. Derived fetal tissue research that fails ethics advisory board review. Let me keep reading. There was something that I wanted to get. Did I have it written down here? Yeah. Right here. It says the Trump administration, HHS, chose that course. Subsequently, however, the Biden administration restored unrestricted funding of abortion-derived fetal tissue research. So the Trump administration put a stop to it, but the Biden administration made a push for it. Now we see why when, what's her name? What's that lady's name? Harris, when she's campaigning for the right for women to have that abortion, because it's part of their plan. They funding it. There was something else that I wanted to show. All right, right here. Conflicts of interest. I think this is the last part I'm going to read, right? The NIH maintains inappropriate industry ties that create serious conflicts of interest. In 2018, it was revealed that $100 million NIH study on the benefits of moderate drinking was funded by the beer and liquor industry. More recently, the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, Anthony Fauci's division of the NIH, owns half of the patent of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine, among thousands of other pharma patents. So they own half of it. Listen to this. Rather than providing grants to university-based investigators to run the clinical trials of their own Moderna vaccines, the NIH conducted this research internally, meaning they didn't get multiple reviews. They didn't give it to they didn't give grants to universities to do studies on the vaccine either. They just said, you know, we're going to do the studies ourselves. So they're using their own research and not fact checking or not running it through other researchers to show if this is effective or not. It says the NIH conducted their research, what? Internally. A clear conflict of interest. The NIAID will earn millions from this vaccine's revenue, with several NIH employees and their heirs personally receiving up to $150,000 annually from the Moderna vaccine sales. So what is this showing? It's all about the money. It's all about the money. And there was so much more in this, but for the sake of time, I can't really go into all of this stuff. But from what we just read, when it comes to the education, when it comes to the medical side of things, I don't see anything wrong with this Project 2025. And let me read this before I come off. Let me read this. Get this scripture for y'all, man. And continue, brothers and sisters, to hit that like button on your way in and share this particular conversation. And I hope this was insightful. It was more insightful for you guys as it was for me, because me, like, you know, I'm sorry if it if it was a little boring, but listen, I like this kind of stuff. I like the information. I like to know what's going on so I could look at these situations better rather than just picking a side, right? Let me pull up the scripture for you. One second. One second. Let me pull it up. Let me find it here. Give me 1 second. One second. It's not popping up. Give me 1 second, brothers and sisters. All right, right here. Let me put it on the screen, make it nice and big. All right. So I'm in the book of Jeremiah 51, right? And like I said, what we're witnessing the infighting, right? We're witnessing the changing of the guards, the changing of the social structures of the classes in here in America. And it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. But should we be alarmed? Should we be as if we don't know what's happening? We should be aware, because the scripture tells us. And this is why I said, like, it's important for us to know and to go into politics a little bit, just so we could see how far along we are in with certain prophecies. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start from verse 5. I'm in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, verse 5. It says, "For Israel have not been forsaken, nor Judah of his power or of his God, of the Lord of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel." So even though the Most High sent us into captivity, he has not forgotten us. And as you can see, the places where we have been sent, these governments, these societies, these cities, they could care less about our people. And I'm gonna play that call that brother that called into the Breakfast Club. Clearly you can see, and our people are starting to understand that, yo, we're on our own when it comes to how this country views us. Don't look for no handouts, because it's not coming. But understand that our God has not forsaken us. This is what the Most High is saying. It says here, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul, and be not cut off in her iniquity. For this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense." So all of this we're seeing is part of the recompense. The infighting, the struggling between the bourgeoisies and the working class, bringing in the migrants, the strike, all of this stuff has to do with what the Most High is gearing up to do. Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. And we seeing the progression of it through what we're seeing through politics. You could see the Most High's word playing out through their politics, the infighting, what's at stake, what they're implementing, what they're taking away, the rights, the things that they're doing for the things that they're using the people for, and not really helping the people that really gave them their power. It says Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain. If so be she may be healed. So could this place be healed? And this is what I really want to get. It says, "We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed." You see that? We would have healed Babylon. So, like I said, there's still some people who believe that they could make the change, that this place will go back to its glory days, and we could reverse all of the negatives that's been put in place, all of the extreme ideologies that's being pushed on our children. And according to the scriptures, there's only one way to fix that. It's through the Most High cleansing this place. It says we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us. It says, and let us go every one into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. So, brothers and sisters, that Project 2025, it's a nice start. I mean, it's hopeful, but at the end of the day, can we really hope for all of those changes? And because like I said, I believe both sides aren't for our people. Like I said, they may have some tenets that may align good with our people and some that doesn't. Well, a lot that doesn't. But no real change is actually coming. No real change is actually coming. The Most High said it himself. He said, yo, we would have healed Babylon. He said, we would have healed Babylon. But she is not healed. So what it said, forsake her. And I'm sorry. And the crazy part is that there's still people in America who really believe that she can be healed. That's the reason why they came together, over 400 people, and drew up that document so the presidents could read, and hopefully they can make a change. Right now, the political party that it aligns with, which is the Republicans, are saying they have nothing to do with the Trump administration. They say they have nothing to do with that project. And from what I've read and what we was able to read together, I don't see anything that was wrong with what they want to see to happen for this country. But is it realistic? Is it realistic? The Most High said we would have healed this place, but she's not healed. And once again, out of the horse's mouth.
Yo, man, this Tone from Tampa, man.
Tone from Tampa, what's up, brother? How was everything out there?
It's a little light rain right now, heavy wind, but I'm going to just keep it a buck, man. This ain't where it's at, man.
Yeah, I'm going to say, y'all right in the middle of it. The eye's hitting Tampa from what the map shows right now.
Man, bro, my heart, bro. I'm scared, man. And then we still recovering from Helene, and it's like, bro, I want to get this off my chest, bro. This government is playing in our faces, man. It don't matter if it's Republican or Democrat. They playing in our faces, bro. You get Ukrainians come over here, they get what they want. You get immigrants come over here, they get what they want. And you got people being denied these FEMA applications that you talking about the other day, Charlamagne. People being denied, bro. But you getting these migrants coming over here, $10,000 food stamps, bro. Fucking goddamn $5,000 cash stipends, man. This shit hurting, bro. We finna get ready to damn near die, bro. A lot of people couldn't afford to evacuate.
And you see the look on DJ Envy's face and Charlamagne, because they know what he's saying is 100% true. They know what he's saying is true. But it's like, what could anybody actually do at the end of the day? So I wanted to play that once more just to show, like, don't get your hopes up in any of it, any side. But know and be aware of what's going on around you. Understand and know. Don't just turn a blind eye and just act like nothing is happening. Know what's happening so you could act accordingly. All right? So, brothers and sisters, that's my time here on the Born and Levi Experience here on GOCC Media. I thank you all for coming in and, getting some of this information, getting some of this knowledge. Like I said, I hope that this broadcast was beneficial for you all and you were able to, learn something, because I know I've learned a lot. But, pay attention to what's going on around y'all and make a better effort for your family, because don't wait for them to do it for your family, because they're not going to do it. Now more than ever, it's time for us to start looking after our own, making sure that we have what we need to stand strong once the dust settle. Right? And once again, our thoughts and our prayers go out to the families out there in Tampa. like I said, I got some confirmation that from a lot of the brothers and sisters out there that they're doing good, right? So all praises be to the Most High for that. But understand that there's a lot of people especially our people, who's suffering and who went through it and is going through it. And we got to keep them in prayer too, and hope and pray that the Most High have mercy on them, that He open up their eyes and really come all the way over. Forget about these politics, because they ain't doing nothing. Go to the God that's willing to help. Right? What the Most High said, I'm gonna read it one last time. I'm gonna read it one last time before I come off. Right here. For Israel have not been forsaken. No matter where we go on this earth, the Most High will not forsake us, nor Judah of his God. Of the Lord of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. So understand that the only solution for our people, the only answer, the only way out for our people, it's not going to be in these politics. It's not going to be in these politics. It's good for us to know and to understand what's happening, which is fine. But don't expect any major changes for our people when it comes to politics. Because when it really matters and we really need help, they show you what they think. Now all of a sudden there's no money in FEMA at all. No money. But y'all could afford to give migrants $10,000 food stamps? Come on, man. Come on, man. It's time for us to come back to our God, man. Understand that. It's time for us to come back. How long are we going to allow these nations to use us, to play with our emotions? It's time to come back. All right, so all praises be to the Most High. Thank you guys for coming in. Enjoy the rest of your day, brothers and sisters. We have the Sabbath coming in, Sabbath prep tomorrow, right? Hopefully you guys could get everything out the way before the sun go down. Enjoy the Sabbath Saturday, whether if you be at home, if you be at class, enjoy it, right? And remember these times, man. Remember these times. Keep them in your heart, so when things hit the fan and when things is looking grim, it's dark out, you'll have these memories. And you'll have these interactions that you can hold on to hold you on to the next time, right? So with that being said, that's my time. Thank you guys for coming in on the Born Levi Experience. I'm your host, Deacon Hazak, and I'm out. See you all next week, Most High willing. Shalom.